Good morning. Welcome to Tuesday, Election Day, November the 5th, 2024. I'm John Zimney in the MNC News Center. The news continues now with our top local stories. Polls in Indiana are open until 6 p.m. Polls in Michigan open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. In Indiana, the Election Protection Hotline's open and ready to help voters.
The hotline, led by Ami Gandhi with the Chicago Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights, is extending its hours on Election Day to ensure voters can get timely assistance.
The hotline is answering calls from voters across the country, including Indiana voters, as we speak. The Election Protection Hotline is available to answer voters' calls live.
Staffed by dedicated legal volunteers, she says the hotline provides guidance on a wide range of voting topics, including locating polling places and understanding ID requirements. She says volunteers are trained to resolve issues as they arise and, when necessary, advocate on behalf of voters who may face additional obstacles. The phone number to call is 866-OUR-VOTE. Derek Decker, MNC News.
And if you're concerned about mail-in votes, so's Indiana Secretary of State Diego Morales. But he says the state has made security improvements since the last presidential election.
This year, for the first time, all votes will have a paper trail. That was not the case before.
He also says they're scrutinizing the system to make sure only eligible U.S. citizens are casting votes. Goshen police have arrested a South Bend man after a vehicle pursuit through the city, which ended with a foot chase.
Officers reported trying to stop a car early Sunday morning for multiple traffic violations near the intersection of Main and Pike Streets. The driver, identified as 21-year-old Brian Fuentes, allegedly fled the scene in his vehicle before abandoning it and trying to escape on foot. Fuentes was caught shortly after and was taken into custody on charges of resisting law enforcement with a vehicle, resisting law enforcement resulting in bodily injury, and operating while intoxicated. Police say Fuentes provided a breath sample registering a blood alcohol content of more than twice the legal limit. Morgan Hopkins, MNC News.
A 10-year-old girl from Osceola suffered a broken arm after she and her brother were struck by a vehicle in Mishawaka. Happened around 4:30 Thursday afternoon at Vistula and Bayview Drive. The girl and her 13-year-old brother were hit by the pickup truck. The vehicle's described as either white or gray in color, with utility boxes in or on the bed. The vehicle continued westbound on Vistula. Anybody with information is asked to contact Mishawaka Police. A man accused of robbing a Dunlap jewelry store will have a competency trial in December.
David Juarez is accused of the K Jewelers robbery that happened in October of 2023. Witnesses say a man came in, threw something through a glass case, and smashed a smaller case, then stole $19,000 worth of jewelry from it. Police say Juarez had been involved in other similar thefts from K Jewelers stores in other towns. He had been accused of being uncooperative during recent competency evaluations, though he says it was not his intention. The Goshen News says instead of more competency evaluations during Thursday's court proceedings, the judge scheduled a competency hearing for December 10th. His jury trial was continued to March 31st. Alyssa Foster, MNC News.
Discussions are underway for a new railway connection between St. Joseph and Elkhart counties and the Canadian National Railway.
The proposed new rail line would run along Capitol Avenue, starting at Current Road and running to Cleveland Road to connect the already existing Elkhart and Western Railroad tracks. WSBT reports that the connection would benefit both counties, moving product through the communities and giving the freight operators a place to stop and unload. No deal is in place, and the discussion is still in the preliminary stages, but it's hoped that a partnership with the Canadian line would offer yet another economic boon to our two counties. It's hoped that a decision can be reached in the next 12 months. Tommy Lee, MNC News.
Michiana's election headquarters, presented by the R&B Car Company.
Well, here's how the two major political party leaders in Indiana are feeling as you head to the polls.
Republicans once again feel the state will easily go to former President Trump in the race for president.
Indiana's a strong state for Trump. Earlier, we were first on the board. I think that we'll be first or close to it on the board for him again on November 5th.
State GOP Chairman Randy Head on All Indiana Politics. Democratic Party Chair Mike Schmull says the down-ballot races are what they are focused on. He feels Jennifer McCormick will give Mike Braun a big challenge in places like Hamilton County, where he says they have garnered more support than in years past. Kirk Darling, Network Indiana.
And things could get a little sticky if the Senate is tied next year.
I'm Chad Pergram with the Speaker's Lobby. There's an old saw in baseball which says the tie goes to the runner. If it were only that simple in the United States Senate, there's a very real chance that the Senate could be tied at 50-50 next year. There have been 2 Senate ties in the 21st century alone. That prompted bipartisan Senate leaders to craft a power-sharing sharing arrangement. Those agreements have essentially awarded the majority to the party of the vice president. Both agreements gave Democrats and Republicans similar membership on committees and even granted the minority leader some additional floor powers. However, it's not written down on any stone tablet that this is how it goes if there's a Senate tie. In fact, all senators had to agree to the power-sharing pacts. That said, the Senate is steeped in custom and tradition. So if there's a 50-50 deadlock, there's a good chance Democrats are in charge because there's a Vice President Tim Walz. The same for the GOP if there's a Vice President J.D. Vance. But we're operating in a very different political paradigm in 2024. With the Speaker's Lobby, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
You're advised to plan for longer lines as you cast your ballot.
As of Monday, more than 1.5 million Hoosiers have voted. The polls today are open until 6 o'clock. Indiana law provides that anyone in line at a polling location at 6 p.m. local time will be allowed to vote. Hoosiers can text the letters IN to 45995 with election questions or concerns. For more information on voting locations, hours, or to see a sample ballot, check HoosierVote.com and click where it says Voter Resources. Alyssa Foster, MNC News.
Polls in Indiana open at 6. They close at 6 o'clock tonight. Bridge, Michigan reports that the counting and tabulating in Michigan may be time-consuming, especially with the growing number of absentee ballots that require extra verification steps. Michigan Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson says she's compelling local canvassers to certify the election no matter which presidential candidate wins the state. Polls in Michigan open at 7 this morning. They're stay open until 8 o'clock tonight. Besides the race for Indiana governor, U.S. Senate, the 2nd and 3rd District House races, another big contest we're watching for is the Indiana Attorney General. Incumbent Todd Rokita is facing Democrat Destiny Wells.
Even though I've been in office for a bit of time and people know my name, they know I fight for them. They know I fight against the establishment. I mean, heck, I fought my governor of my own party several times, so I feel good about it, and we'll just see what the people of Indiana and God has in store.
Rokita says he'll campaign until the very last moment today. He also says he doesn't write concession speeches, only victory speeches. A 16-year-old driver cited for failing to yield after a collision at State Road 19 and County Road 32 in Wakarusa. Happened yesterday morning. The teen's Chevy Impala entered the intersection, was hit by a Nissan Rogue driven by a 35-year-old man from Bristol. The teen suffered hip pain and was taken to Elkhart General Hospital for treatment. Both vehicles had to be towed away. Jurors have viewed prison cell video evidence in the Delphi murders trial of Richard Allen.
Day 15 of the Delphi murder trial for Richard Allen began at Carroll County Courthouse. The 52-year-old defendant faces charges of murder and attempted kidnapping in the deaths of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, both teenagers who went missing near Delphi's Monon High Bridge in 2017. The trial, which started on October 18th, includes no courtroom cameras. Jurors recently viewed video evidence from Allen's cell, sparking courtroom debate.
That's Joe Ullery reporting. And here's a question. Does health insurance depend on work hours for elected officials? That's the question before the Indiana Supreme Court, which recently heard arguments in a Perry County, Indiana case that could impact local officials statewide.
The case started when Perry County commissioners ended health insurance for certain part-time employees in June 2023. City Councilman Keith Huck, who works around 9 hours a month, sued and sought an injunction to keep his coverage. A local judge granted Huck's injunction, but the Indiana Court of Appeals reversed that decision. The appeal to the Indiana Supreme Court is interlocutory, meaning it's happening while the case continues. Morgan Hopkins, MNC News.
The winter forecast calls for the possibility of more snow, but you can prepare now. Get winter weather text alerts by texting the word weather to 574-2595-953.
Rain showers and a few thunderstorms are expected today. Temperatures will top out in the upper 60s, but will be in the 60s all day. We will also expect to see wind gusts up to 40, 45 miles per hour during the day as well. As we head into tonight, still scattered showers across the area. We drop down to 47. And tomorrow becoming partly sunny with a high of 58. I'm Chief Meteorologist Carrie Peugeot.
Get first word of the big winners tonight. Sign up for breaking news text alerts from MNC. To get them, just text the word news to 574-2595-953. Coming up next, top trending stories. We'll also check out your 5-day forecast. MNC News Time, 5:13.
Podcasts by Federated Media.